So obviously, since I'm making a review, Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 just came out. First, I'm going to list out the things I don't like so this video can get increasingly positive, and then I'm going to say whether I like Chapter 3 or 4 better. Let's get straight into it. Also, spoilers obviously. It's kind of hard to talk about these, but within just a day of the chapter's release, everyone has already collectively agreed on a flaw that we'll have to agree with. Why the fuck did they hype up Pianosaurus as much as they did? He gets killed literally the second we encounter him. We owe Vanny an apology. Do I still hate how they wasted her literally everything? Yes. But holy shit, at least she got 6 milliseconds of screen time instead of 3. The hype they built up for him was so big, and yet they literally did nothing with him. I'm fine with him being killed by Doey, but there were so many different ways they could have done it, and they went with the worst possible option. Like, not even a chase scene? Next, Yarnaby was disappointing. Like, he's still scary and all, but I do feel like they should have experimented a bit more with this section. Also, his death was so anticlimactic. The way he just dies. Huggy Wuggy, we had to survive a hard chasing in the vents, a look around for a huge box we had to pull. Mommy Longlegs both a chasing and hiding and seek at the same time and pulled the switch to grind her up. Catnap had a super difficult actual boss fight, and a lot of people didn't even know you had to launch that green hand at him to electrocute him, causing him to explode and almost burn to death and then killed by his own god after asking for a second chance. Even with Mr. Light, you had to survive a Weeping Angel section while also looking for batteries to open doors for a way out, and then you had to pull that switch to crush her with the metal door. And then Yarnaby gets attached to a hook and fucking dies. Literally. Lastly, more of a nitpick, but why did they change up the UI? Not a complaint, just why. It was perfectly fine in the first 3 games. Okay, that's all the flaws. I don't even know where to begin with this chapter. Oh my prototype, I love the Harley Silver boss fight. That shit was actually scary. It's like that Glamrock Endo section from Security Breach. If you forgot what I'm talking about the only actual scary part of the game, but as a boss fight. I know some people don't like it, but I do. And I also like this one question he gives us. Is it purely the letter that sent us here? Or is there someone or something that we miss? I always thought it was odd that this letter, even after everything that's ever happened, convinced us to come back 10 years later. I mean, you could give the character the benefit of the doubt by saying we were a low-tier employee, so we didn't know about the shady stuff of the company. I mean, not even still, the head of Playcare knew about the experiments. So there's no way we would have known until we came back and learned about everything. And it's heavily implied that we missed the hour joy, and it seems no one who wasn't in the factory that they ever knew about it. But even then, hundreds of people on a random day suddenly vanished inside a factory and barely anyone made it out. Doesn't that seem suspicious? But this question is confirmation that an even more suspicious letter on its own didn't convince us. So this entire game suddenly makes way more sense. Oh, also speaking of the prototype, my god, his design so far is actually fucking scary. What made his design so unsettling in the first 3 chapters is that we have nothing to go off of with just one metal claw, so we actually have no idea what the bigger picture looks like. Now that we're getting a better look at the fella, yeah, no, I'm just going to undo everything I've ever done, including entering this place. Also, the reveal of Ollie being the prototype this whole time did not shock me at all. I mean, it's a child. The only children left are the toys. This is a human voice. Seems a lot like the prototype mimicked a real child named Ollie, and then he just died. Oh, wait.
Was there ever an Ollie?
Yes, there was. But that was a very long time ago.
I love Doey. His character arc in this chapter is so fucking good. We open up with a commercial, which, by the way, Mob always kills it with these commercials. They feel like something straight out of the 90s. And then in that same video, we get a kid. His name's Jackie, by the way. And his mom going through a tour in the factory. And then Jackie falls into the dough production used to make the Doey toys. And then he turns into the bigger body for Doey, not seeing his parents for weeks. He gets a visit from them, as we can hear in one of the VHS tapes. His dad is reasonably worried because he's not even a human anymore. But the mom responds by saying that he's still their son. They both go into the room where he's being kept in, but he doesn't recognize them at first. His mom explains who they are, and then he gets flashbacks. His mom tries to apologize, but this disturbing scene happens.
Get out! Susan, I think we should leave.
Jackie, I'm staying right here. I'm not leaving you. Not ever again. Do you hear me?
The gentle voices lie. I know what they do. They lie, and they poke, and they hurt. Susan, get away from me!
Jack? Mommy won't lie to you, Jackie. Mommy won't hurt you. I'd never hurt you.
Hey! Hey! Open this door! Oh, God. Susan! Please! Open the door!
Doey kills his parents and immediately regrets it. After the hour of joy, he creates the safe haven to protect all the other children who were victims of the experiment. After Poppy comes back with our protagonist after 10 years, neither him or the toys fully trust her. Their relationship takes a turn for the worse. Later on in the game, after replaying the explosives in the gas chamber, an explosion comes from the safe haven. The prototype has broken in and killed everyone. Doey feels like he's failed everyone, and then anger takes over. He tries not to, but he blames us for everything that's ever happened in this game. Everything went wrong because of us. Eventually, he can't take it anymore and fully lets anger take over. He gets crushed by some rocks, and what comes out is this thing. The Doey boss fight starts, and it's one of the most depressing things in mascot horror. You have to kill someone you just became friends with. I can get why you wouldn't take these voice lines during this fight seriously, because these are things a quote-unquote depressed teenager would say, but there's a huge difference. Doey went through a lot of trauma in his life. He let anger take people's lives away before, but those were just 2 people. This is an entire community that he felt, and a lot of things started happening because of us, so it was pretty easy to put the blame on us. A depressed teenager saying that went through basically nothing besides puberty. So I think it's great they added these voice lines. And him sounding sad right before you killed him genuinely made me feel bad for him. He's not a bad guy, he just let his anger get the best of him. Also, I love how they added this blur effect when he was switching back and forth between guilt and anger. It makes it easier for the child audience to understand without blatantly telling them. If only more companies started doing this. I also love the story as a whole, not just Doey. I like the complicated relationship between Poppy and Doey. I liked at least the prototype review, even though it was insanely predictable. And yeah, I just loved it so much. Now, what do I think about the ending? Well, the fact it's in the good section of this video gives it away, but holy shit, I love it. Randomly learning about the underground poppy flower field was cool, and I love how Leaf Pierre trolled us. He tells us that we will get shot, but obviously since we just killed the last remaining human in this factory, he's barely even human anyway. That's not what ends up happening, but rather we see a familiar face walking through the red gas. Could it be? It's our boy Huggy Wuggy. And the game just ends right there, and we'll have to wait till chapter 5 releases to see what happens next. Holy fuck, I will never forget this ending. In fact, I would even go as far as saying this takes the top spot for the best ending of a mascot horror game. Which, yes, does in fact include Help Wanted 2. I never thought this would be topped, but this proves me wrong. Although that doesn't answer. Now for the ending of this video, as I promised, I will determine if I prefer this chapter over chapter 3. Wait for it. No. I'm sorry, but chapter 3 is peak. Catnap is still the best villain we've ever gotten out of this franchise. Also, this is the biggest lore drop of the prototype in history. This shit was scary as fuck. There wasn't a single bad part of this game. And lastly, every bit of its potential was explored. Also, CG5 literally made a masterpiece for this game. Literally, have you ever heard of anything like that happening? It's pretty common for artists to make songs for movies, TV shows, and video games, but when has an indie studio ever gotten an artist like CG5 to make a song for a game with fucking Boba Fett in it? So yeah, this is the end. Hope you have a great day. Bye.